beings, this is something we've got to reflect on and see. Hey, this is something that's I am like. This is who I am. Like I'm a person that has to move to live. I'm not just a container that I just pop ideas on in. Thoughts, thinking in, and just store it for later. I'm more than that. I'm dynamic. I'm directed towards something. I'm moving towards some end, and it's not just what I know as some end or believe in some end, but it's more than that. I long for something. It's a longing. It's a desire. It's a love. I want something. I must have it. And these desires define you, and that's why it's sort of saying this: you are what you love. So to think about, so to be orientated to a purpose is more than. Let me just get this right. I only wrote this before I got here. So it's just this idea that you have this vision in your mind. So it may not be God. This is the thing. That's what we're meant to be for. But we still can have this picture in our mind of something that we're I guess directed towards. And so it's not automatically God, but it's almost like, and the way he sort of described it is like it's almost like a compass. Like our heart is actually a compass, but more than that, it's not just a compass orientating us in a particular direction, but it's also pulling us in that direction. So it's more than just pointing us to God or something else, but it's actually pulling us towards it because we long for it, we desire, and it's almost like this habit of longing and desire that we have towards something that actually draws us towards us. It's that restlessness, It's almost like this. Like we're on autopilot, being pulled towards this thing, and it doesn't really matter what we think about something. What we desire about something is the thing that pulls us along. So sometimes we can have an intellectual understanding of even things in Christianity and the gospel or whatever. We can go, oh yeah, this is a good concept that I shouldn't sin anymore, right? So or whatever it might be. But there's still that pull, that longing for something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've just automatically compared it to CrossFit.
Well, run it past me. What's the comparison?
So I think that workout is going to be disgusting and that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And I think they're my worst movements put together, and it's going to be a half an hour or something, and I'm going to really struggle at. But I desire to be a better CrossFitter, and I know that I'll be better for doing the workout. So it's the desire that's actually going to make me do it regardless of what I think.
Yep. That's good. Yep. I guess what it's talking about more so would be the picture that you hold in your of what you will be, I suppose, and that I guess what it's trying to say is there's a picture or a vision that you're heading towards. So you're almost like, I see myself being this type of CrossFitter, and that's what I'm desiring and longing for, I suppose. Do you think that's because you'd be a very goal-orientated person, obviously, but do you see a pretty clear picture of where you want to end up?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you going past what you might be thinking about, what other things might be going on. Yeah. So that's good. And basically, I think what's interesting about this is that marketing taps into this all the time. So we sort of sit back and sort of think, oh yeah, I'm just thinking about these things, or we're learning, or at uni studying and whatever. But marketing is going. They're not giving you, you don't watch a TV ad and they give you the 5 points of why you should buy the product. They don't even give you the features. They give you a desire for the product. They may even tell you what the product is. They just plant this. Maybe the product label comes down the bottom, but basically it's like, so if if you're on you imagine if you got a call from the telesales and it's like, we're just trying to sell holidays at the moment. So look, 7 days, you get a buffet breakfast. So that's about it. What do you want to come or what, or it's like, hey, just imagine yourself on the beach, and there's a sunset, and they set the picture and they tap into not our thinking about, oh, that's a good bargain, which may work, but generally we're more attracted to that desiring, that sense of loving something or wanting something, and it taps into our hungers and our desires. Does that sound good? Does this all sound like all right? I like the book anyway. So, anyway, so I think it also thinks about the way we find idols in our life, and I think idols is an interesting term in considering what we're talking about. It's in commandment number 2 of the 10 Commandments. It's like, do not make an image, a carven image, and put it before God, in front of God. So it's like this idea again. It's almost like this image that you put up, and that you're desiring that image in your heart, and it's pulling you towards that thing that isn't God, and it's that idea that idols, and of course, what we need to do is let go of our idol, and put our focus back on God, and it's always in the image, it's always in the vision of what we see. So I guess I want to talk about all this because I just thought if we can just talk about the implications of thinking about ourselves differently. So if we know ourselves not just as thinking things, but as loving things, what is the implications for sin, for example? Like, how would we look at sin differently? So I don't know. I've got a couple of these, so I'll do the first one so you know what I'm talking about. But we would look at sin differently. We wouldn't just see it as bad thoughts, okay? But we would see it as in James 1 verse 14. Each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. And when desire is conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. So when we start thinking about ourselves more than just thinking things, and as lovers and desirers and longing for things, we start to go, hey, I'm not just catching sin at the action level. I'm going back to when the desire conceives and brings forth sin, So we're starting to think through things in a different way. Does that make sense? Yeah, kind of? Yeah, okay. So, sorry, maybe I've gone too deep. This is, so I guess this is a quote I picked up on another thing I was talking about one time, but I felt like really, when we really applied here, if we're talking about sin and how we can look at sin differently, like when we struggle with sin, almost always we are facing the conflict between two longings. Okay, this is what we're kind of talking about. The longings for a longing for an immediate release from pain, from loneliness, feeling, self-hatred, hunger, and on the other side, a longing for intimacy with our Lord. The latter may seem more distant and the rewards less direct, so we opt for sin. So it comes back to that longing for those things. So if we're trying to be good, without addressing our desires, we're not going to succeed, because our longings are so much larger part of us and so much sort of stronger that they're pulling us in that direction. Our menial is a word there somewhere, but attempts to try and stop doing a sin without dealing with the longings is not going to really get us anywhere. Does that make sense? I think I've explained it right now. I think I'm getting a few stuns of the looks, but yeah, okay. So I'm just, because I guess I was just reading the book and then reflecting. Okay, so if this is true, if this is what human beings are like, then how can I look at all those Christian things that we sort of deal with all the time, like sin, like the next one's faith I want to talk about. So
it's a good one.
How can we look at that differently if we're, we know that we're lovers, that we're longers, longers is the word, I don't know, desiring people, So, okay, let's talk about faith. So what does faith mean